Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। हरे कृष्णा, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Let us recite the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One second. Okay. Eventually, the idea is we'll just be reciting the Sanskrit, and while reciting the Sanskrit, we should be able to understand what it means. That's the thing. Okay. So let's recite with the translations again today. Text 1, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. Text 1. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Sa Vedavid. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Text 2. Adha chordhvam prasritastasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravala adhascha mulanyanu karmanubandhini manushya loke. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Text 3-4. Narupamasye hatathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha ashwattamenam suvirudhamulam asanga shastrena dridhena chhitva tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravrittih prasrita purani. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Text 5. Nirmana jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangyair gacchantya mudha padamavyayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Text 6. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धामा paramam mama. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Text 8. Shariram yad avapnoti yachapyutkramati shvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhan ivashayat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Text 9. Shrotram Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam evacha adhishtaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Text 11. Yatanto yoginaschainam pashyantyatmani atmanyavasthitam yatantopyakritatmano nainam pashyantyachetasah. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Yad adityagatam tejo jagad bhasayate khilam yad chandramasi yad chagnau tattejo vidhi mamakam. Aditya is sun. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Text 13. Gam avishya cha bhutani. Gam means earth. Gam avishya cha bhutani dharayamyaham ojasa pushnami chaushadhi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Text 14. Aham Vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham ashritaha pranapana samayuktaha pachamyannam chaturvidham. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritirjnanamohanam cha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. 16. Dvavimau purushau loke ksharashchakshara evacha ksharah sarvani bhutani kutastho uchate. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible, Kshara and Akshara. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. 17. Uttamaha purushastvanyaha paramatmetyudahritaha yo lokatrayam avishya bibhartyavyaya ishvaraha. Besides these two, which two? Kshara and Akshara, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. 18. Yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharad api chottamaha atosmi loke vedecha prathitaha purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. 19. Yo mamevam asammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Text 20. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya nagha etad buddhva buddhiman syad kritakrityascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So I'm thinking tomorrow we will recite only Sanskrit, and I will keep it like this. So while we are reciting the verse, if you get a doubt about the word, you can just see in the synonyms, okay? So it will be something like this. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhva Moolam Adaha Shakham. So Urdhva means higher, Adaha means lower. Moolam means roots, Shakham means branches. Urdhva Moolam, roots are up, Adaha Shakham, branches are low. Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam. Prahur means it is said, it is known as. So this tree is called Ashwatha. Avyayam. Avyayam. Why? It is eternal. That means it does not, it is never finished. Avyayam. Chandamsi yasya parnani. Parnani means leaves. Chanda means Vedic mantras. So the leaves of this tree are Vedic mantras. Yastam Veda. That means one who knows this. Sa Vedavid knows Vedas. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. That's the meaning of this verse. Okay? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavid. So like this, if you understand the shloka, then when you memorize only shlokas, when you recite the shloka, you actually understand what it means. It's a very rich, what do you say, knowledge. When you actually speak, recite the verse, and you understand what the words are meaning, what the sentence is meaning, of course there's a lot of commentary behind that, but at least if you understand, you get a basic meaning of the verse. It's very nice when you quote it, and for you to remember what it means. And like that, if you know the whole chapter, can you imagine how nice it is? So text 2 is Adhaschordvam prasritastasya shakha. Adha means low, urdhvam means high. So Adaha and Urcha means also. So that means lower and higher. Prasritas means it is spreading. Tasya means this tree's shakha, branches. That means this tree's branches are spreading both below and above. Guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha. So guna pravriddha. What is this tree made of? What are the branches which are spreading up and down? What are these branches made of? Gunas. Goodness, passion and ignorance. Guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha. Pravalaha means the twigs. The ends of the branches, the small twigs. That is pravalaha. What are those? They are the sense objects. What are the sense objects? What we see, the forms, what we hear, what we taste, various tastes. So all these are sense objects. The food for the senses is sense objects. So Vishaya means sense objects. So this tree has its branches up and down, extending, and they are made of what? The three modes of material nature, and the twigs are the sense objects. Pravala means twigs. Adhascha mulani anusantatani. Now we already read that the roots are up and the branches are down. There are another type of roots. Mula means roots. Like you know the banyan tree. Banyan tree has roots underground, but also there are some roots, they're called prop roots. From the branches they start hanging down. So not only are there the roots which we earlier verse we saw, there are roots up and branches down, but there are also some roots that are growing down from the branches. Adhascha mulani anusantatani. Adha means low. The branches are going low, extending. Anusantatani, they're growing downwards, hanging downwards. Now what are these roots? Karmanu bandhini manushya loke. So karmanu bandhini. These roots are coming from karma bandhana. These extra roots coming from the branches going down, they are coming because of karma bandhana. Where do you find karma bandhana? Do animals get karma bandhana? Bondage? No. Who gets bondage? That person who does karma gets bondage. Who does karma? Human beings. So living entity in the human body only does karma. That's why manushya loke karmanu bandhini. Karmanu bandhini. Okay? So these additional roots coming from the branches, they are coming. So anyway, I'm not going to the details of this tree yet, but just to give you an idea how we'll be going about memorizing this verse. So when we recite like this, you'll be understanding what the verse means. I won't take the whole time just for this chapter today, but every day we'll be reciting. So we completed reciting this verse today. This chapter. Maybe, yeah, tomorrow we'll do it again. Now let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday, so we have been reading the same thing with Srimad Bhagavatam also. We will memorize meaning understand the verse. So when you're reading, you'll understand what the words are and what the verse is saying. So we did text 1 yesterday. So 1, 2, 3 are the prayers or mangalacarana of Vyasadeva. We already discussed the first verse before. So let's see if we are able to remember. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya means I'm offering my obeisances to Lord Vasudev, or you can say to the Supreme Lord, the son of Vasudev. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratas chartheshvabhigyaswarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayaha tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. So can you understand what the verse is now simply by looking at the verse? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya means I'm offering my obeisances to Lord Vasudev. Janma Adi Asya. So there are, we are talking about this Param Satyam. Who is Param Satyam? Krishna, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Then what are his qualities, characteristic features? That is explained in all. So we see 7 characteristic features here. First one is Janma Adi. Janma means creation, maintenance and destruction. Adi is said, right? So Janma, etc. That means Janma, birth, creation, maintenance and destruction. Asya Yataha. That means the creation, maintenance and annihilation. Asya means of this universe. Yataha, by whom? So who is this Param Satyam? So first is Param Satyam is he by whom the creation and maintenance and destruction of this universe happens. That's one. Janmadhyasya yataha. Creation, maintenance and annihilation of this universe happens by whom? That is Param Satyam. Then Anvayad itaratascha artheshu abhigyaha. He, abhigyaha means he knows, he is cognizant. He is cognizant both Anvayad and Itarataha, directly and indirectly. Why? Artha means for what purpose? For the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation. He is both directly and indirectly cognizant of this whole creation. Okay. Then Swarat, the third one. So Param Satyam is he who is both directly and indirectly cognizant. Abhigyaha, he knows about this creation. Then Swarat means he is independent. Swarat. Why he is independent? Because he is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. So Param Satyam is he who is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishwaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. Therefore he is supremely independent. Swarat. Okay. So Param Satyam is he who is Swarat. So we saw 3 qualities already. First is he is the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation of this universe. Second, he is cognizant both directly and indirectly of this creation. And the third one is he is supremely independent. That is called Param Satyam. Further, there's more. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Okay, he is that person who has given the Vedic knowledge who has transmitted the Vedic knowledge to the heart of Adikavi. Adikavi means Brahmaji. Here Brahma means Vedas. Param Satyam is he who has imparted Vedic knowledge directly to the heart of Brahmaji. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. So we saw 4 characteristics of absolute truth or Param Satyam. Next is Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. You know what is Suri? Suri means, you say, right? Shurveer. Like Suri means like very exceptionally advanced person, like that. So even those who are really advanced, they are also put into bewilderment by him. Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. So absolute truth is he by whom even great Suris are put into illusion. Okay. So who are these? Like demigods and sages, right? So Param Satyam is he. So next quality is, or 5th one, Param Satyam is he by whom even advanced personalities like sages and demigods are put into illusion. How? For example, so here also you can take, I'm just explaining in one way, the other way later on we can see. How they are put into illusion, we have some experience of that in this world. The way you see water on fire, right? When there is fire on top, this, you see like everything is floating as if there's water. So you see fire and water, or water in fire, or you see land on water. When there is an ocean, you see far off, it appears like there is land on the other side. You see land on water. So this is simply illusion. So the way we are illusioned by seeing land on water or water in fire, in that way, this absolute truth puts even great advanced personalities into illusion. That means this Tejo Varim Ridam can be connected with either this one, Muhyanti Yat Surayaha, or you can also connect this with the second part here. So now I explained connecting it with this one, Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. Okay. So how many qualities we saw? Janmadyasya Yataha. Second is Anvayad Itaratascha Artheshu Abhigyaha. Then third one is Swarat. Then fourth one is Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. Fifth one is Muhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejo Varim Vridam Yatha. Okay, 5. Then Vinimayo Yatra Trisargom Risha. Vinimaya means the interactions or reactions caused by Trisargaha, the three modes of material nature. So this Prakriti is comprised of the three modes of material nature. Whatever activities are happening in this world, whatever forms you are seeing in this material world, the various bodies, and the various wonderful things, creations, interactions, intelligence, mind, desires, everything is the product of Prakriti. It's being made by Prakriti, right? Prakrite, what is that verse? 327. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamit manyate. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai sarvani sarvasha. Prakriti, consisting of the gunas, is the one who is in action, who is doing everything. But out of ahankara, vimudhatma, right, is thinking kartaham, I am the doer. So the fact is everything is done by Prakriti. So all these interactions done by Prakriti are what? Temporary, because there is a time when it is created and again when it is annihilated. But when we see everything, we think what? Like we are going to live here forever. This is my family. This is my home. Isn't it? Although all this is temporary, by this absolute truth, Param Satyam, even this temporary world appears to be real and permanent. So he's so, how it is happening, it's his energy, right? Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya. It's the Lord's external energy. So by the power of his external energy, everything, all the interactions happening in this world, even though they are temporary, still they seem to be real, permanent. And we make permanent plans, right? I'll build a house because I want to live here lifelong. It seems like eternally we are going to live there. Okay. Tejo, so next point is Vinimayo Yatra Trisargom Risha. By him, this world seems to be real. Although it is false meaning temporary, but we get the feeling that it is real. By this Param Satyam. So that is his next quality. Okay. So how many we have? 6 so far. And the last one is Dhamna Swena. Swena means independently, like a king, he is ruling, right? Dhamna, where? In his Dhama, in his eternal abode, Golok Vrindavan Dham. He is residing there, he is ruling there, he is enjoying there. Sada, Nirasta Kuhakam. And what is the quality of that Dhama? It is Nirasta Kuhakam. It does not have this illusion, this energy, illusory energy, which is making us think that this world is real. That illusory energy is completely absent there in his Dhama. Nirasta Kuhakam. There is no ignorance. There is no darkness. To that Param Satyam Dhimahi. Let us meditate on him like this. Vyasadeva is praying. So now when you recite this verse, you'll remember, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yatonvayaditaratas Chartheshvabhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejo Varimridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So, simply memorizing is not enough. You have to recollect it also during the day, right? Then you have to meditate on the words, then it will actually sink into you by the mercy, of course, right? But simply memorizing like parrot is not sufficient, but at least something we have to start. But there's so much more inside that verse that you have to meditate on it, and it will unfold to us according to our sincere endeavor and by the mercy. So now the other two verses we will just recite today, because already it's 7 o'clock. We have to read Bhagavatam also, 10th canto. So the first three verses we'll recite first. So tomorrow I don't have to go over the meanings of the first verse. Now we can simply recite the Sanskrit tomorrow. Second verse. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parairishvaraha Sadyo Hridyavaruddhyatetra Kritibhi Shushrushubbhis Tatkshanat. Third one. Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukhad Amritadrava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. So what I would suggest to all of you is, you can do it yourself also. See, Srila Prabhupada has given us word-to-word meanings, especially the verses that you want to memorize, especially those. If you can do it for every verse, it's very good. But if not, at least for the verses that you want to memorize, you look at the word-to-word meanings of the shloka. As you read the verse, you read word-to-word meaning. And then you try to understand what is this verse saying. Okay? Now you come back to the English translation and you read and see if you have understood properly the way it is supposed to be, right? So you can do that exercise. So that way you will try to remember the Sanskrit verse. All right. So the third, we finished, right? Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukhad amritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. So the meanings of these three, next two verses, 2 and 3, we will see in the coming classes. Tomorrow maybe one verse, and day after tomorrow another verse we'll do. Now let's read Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. We are in chapter 10, canto 10, chapter 4. We have to start text 23. So, what did we see yesterday? Kamsa. Kamsa is speaking to Devaki. He's speaking Bhagavad Gita philosophy to Devaki and Vasudeva. Quickly, I'll read the translations, okay? Alas, first thing is he begged their forgiveness. 15. Alas, my sister. Alas, my brother-in-law. So he's speaking to both Vasudeva and Devaki. I'm indeed so sinful that exactly like a man-eater. So Rakshasa means what? Rakshasa literally means one who eats his own children. He can eat others, man-eater, right? So I am indeed so sinful that exactly like a man-eater, that means like a Rakshasa, who eats his own child, I have killed so many sons born of you. Being merciless and cruel, I have forsaken all my relatives and friends. Therefore, like a person who has killed a Brahmana, I do not know to which planet I shall go, either after death or while breathing. So, alas, not only human beings, but sometimes even providence lies, and I am so sinful that I believed the omen of providence and killed so many of my sister's children. O great souls, your children have suffered their own misfortune. So now comes the philosophy part. Your children suffered their own misfortune. Therefore, please do not lament for them. All living entities are under the control of the Supreme and they cannot always live together. Right? So we are all under control. So that's why they were taken away by the control of the Supreme. In this world, we can see that pots, dolls, and other products of the earth appear, break, and then disappear, mixing with the earth. Similarly, the bodies of all conditioned living entities are annihilated, but the living entities like the earth itself are unchanging and never annihilated. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. That means, like when there is earth, from earth pots are made, and again when pot is broken, earth remains. So originally there is spirit soul. This spirit soul accepts a body, various bodies, and at the end, when the bodies are annihilated, the soul will remain. Like that. One who does not understand the constitutional position of the body and the soul becomes too attached to the bodily concept of life. Consequently, because of attachment to the body and its byproducts, he feels affected by union with and separation from his family, society, and nation. As long as this continues, one continues his material life, otherwise, one is liberated. That means, why you become attached to the bodily concept, you think you are this body, because of not having knowledge that the body is different from soul. You don't understand the nature of the body and nature of the soul. Because of that ignorance, you are thinking you are this body. And because of thinking you are this body, you become attached to this body and everything and people who are related to this body. And then you become happy when you are united with those people, and you become sad when you are separated from them. And as long as you become happy and sad like this, what is the root cause? You are thinking you are this body. Why you are thinking you are this body? Because you don't understand the nature of body and soul. So as long as you continue becoming happy and sad like this, you will continue in this cycle of birth and death. There is no question of liberation. So, my dear sister Devaki, all good fortune unto you. Everyone suffers and enjoys the results of his own work under the control of providence. Therefore, although your sons have unfortunately been killed by me, please do not lament for them. In essence, he is saying, they got the result of their own karma. I was simply an instrument. Okay? So, don't lament. Then, in the bodily conception of life, one remains in darkness without self-realization, thinking I am being killed or I have killed my enemies. As long as a foolish person thus considers the self to be the killer or the killed, he continues to be responsible for material obligations, and consequently he suffers the reactions of happiness and distress. So, in other words, Kamsa is saying that when you are in ignorance, you think that you are this body, and then because you think you are this body, you get affected by the reactions of that body. That means you become happy or distressed. And in that consciousness, thinking that you are this body, if you kill someone, you have to take the reaction for that. But if you come out of this bodily consciousness, if you see yourself as a spirit soul separate from this body, in that consciousness, if you kill someone, are you responsible for that killing? No. And will you get a reaction for that killing? No. So Kamsa is trying to say, from what we heard from the purport yesterday, that taking this Jnana Margas, the philosophy of the Jnana Marga, he's saying, now earlier because I was in avidya, in ignorance, I was in the bodily concept of life, therefore I became fearful that your son will kill me, so therefore I went and killed them. But now I understand, I realize that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. So therefore, whatever killing I have done, I am not responsible for that. I see now that I was not the one who did it, because the soul cannot be killed. So who did I kill? I didn't kill anyone, right? And now I understand. So that's why I'm not responsible. You don't lament, like that. Yesterday we read, and also Srila Prabhupada said Kamsa is uh, genuinely repenting. How? By the mercy of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada is saying there. Hmm? And Acharya Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that um, Kamsa is using this Jnana philosophy to, saying that I'm not responsible for what I did. So for that he's explaining this whole philosophy, that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, right? And the spirit soul cannot be cut. And whatever reactions you are getting, that's because of past karma. We have to simply accept it. And anyone who kills or who gets killed is not actually killing or is not getting killed in reality, because he's in knowledge. He's realized that he's not this body. So I have realized, so I'm not responsible, like that. Okay, that was yesterday's verse. As long as a foolish person considers the self to be the killer or the killed, he continues to be responsible for material obligations. But if you don't see yourself as the doer, then you're not responsible. So he suffers the reactions of happiness and distress. So I think today's verse is text 23. Text 23. Kshamadhvam mama dauratmyam sadhavo dina vatsalaha ityuktvaashru mukha padau shyalaha swasror agha athagrahit. Kshamadhvam mama dauratmyam sadhavo dina vatsalaha ityuktvaashru mukha padau shyalaha swasror athagrahit. Kamsa begged, "My dear sister and brother-in-law, please be merciful to such a poor-hearted person as me, since both of you are saintly persons. Please excuse my atrocities." Having said this, Kamsa fell at the feet of Vyasadeva and Devaki, his eyes full of tears of regret. I cannot help but to, connect Devaki's presentation in front of Kamsa, following the Kshatriya's diplomatic ways. What did she do? First is Dama, second is Sama, and the third one is Dana, right? So Dama, she said, "You killed all my effulgent sons." And second one is, she said, "But this is my own destiny, what can be done, you're not at fault." And finally, begging charity, "Please, at least let this last girl, let me have this one child. I'm begging, I'm your younger sister, I've lost all my sons, so I'm in a very, I'm a very poor person, and I'm your younger sister, I deserve this charity, please let me have at least this last daughter," like this, she's begging. Now Kamsa, what did he do? See, first he took a first thing he said was that, "Yes, I did such terrible things," right? Same thing like Devaki said, "You did terrible." "Yes, I did such terrible things. I was like a Rakshasa who eats his own children. I killed my own sister's newborn babies, and I've tortured my relatives and family members. Oh, I don't know where I will go for all my sinful activities. I will go to, and in this life also, I don't know what my destination is," like this, first one. And then all the philosophy, right? Actually, we are not this body, we are spirit soul, and we are simply controlled by higher authorities. And the real thing is the spirit soul, the body is only temporary. You should not, and whatever punishments you are getting, that is only the reactions to your own past activities. We are not the doers in any way, right? Someone who thinks that he is the killer becomes responsible for killing, and he gets the reaction. But if you understand that you're not the killer, and also that you cannot be killed, then you're not responsible for the reactions. So this is like the second phase, right, where he's actually saying, what do you say, uh, kind of negotiation type, right? Actually, I didn't do it like that. And finally, again, charity kind, right? He's saying, oh, he's begging for forgiveness. My dear Devaki, Vasudev, you are so great, right? Please forgive me for what I have done, like that. So that's the verse that we are seeing today. Kamsa is saying that he begged, my dear sister and brother in law, please be merciful to such a poor hearted person as me, since both of you are saintly persons, right? You are exalted. I'm a poor hearted person. Devaki said also, right? I'm so poor, please give me this daughter. Now Kamsa saying, I am a poor hearted person. Please, but you are saintly people. Uh, Be merciful to me. Please excuse my atrocities. Having said this, Kamsa fell at the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki, his eyes full of tears of regret. Actually, he was, his eyes were full of tears of regret. He begged on the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki and he begged them for forgiveness. Although Kamsa had spoken very nicely on the subject of real knowledge, his past deeds were abominable and atrocious, and therefore he further begged forgiveness from his sister and brother in law by falling at their feet and admitting that he was a most sinful person. So, yes, the philosophy is there, but nevertheless, his, all whatever Prabhupada also said in the purport, everything that he said was true. Philosophically, it was correct. Nevertheless, did he act according to that philosophy in the past? No, right? Now he's speaking the philosophy, but his past actions were not in line with the philosophy that he's speaking. Nevertheless, he committed those activities, heinous activities. So now he's actually begging for forgiveness, that yes, I have acted so badly, please forgive me, like that. I have realized now, but I still acted so badly in the past, please forgive me. I am the most sinful person, like that. Next verse. I don't think there's any major uh, commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Kamsa is saying, you may choose to continue grieving while blaming me for the death of your sons, but in reality I did not commit this sinful act consciously, even though I am a wicked person. Okay? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying he's saying, so now Kamsa is saying, this is the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Kamsa is saying to Vasudeva and Devaki, you may choose to continue grieving while blaming me for the death of your sons, but in reality, I did not commit this sinful act consciously, even though I am a wicked person. My atonement is only by your mercy. Thus Kamsa says to Vasudeva and Devaki, please forgive me. What is he saying? See, in line with that philosophy, the spirit soul is always pure, isn't it? The spirit soul is not, is never contaminated. So now he has realized, or at least he's speaking, well, he's not really realized, but he understood the philosophy. So he's saying, I didn't do anything because the spirit soul cannot kill, right? Na hanyate hanyamane sharire, nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. So the soul cannot be killed and it cannot kill also. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So therefore I didn't kill. You can say that I am responsible, but in reality, I am Atma. How can Atma kill? I have not killed. That's the point. Yes? So, in reality, you can blame me and you can be grieving for the dead sons. But the fact is, I did not commit this sinful act consciously, even though I'm a wicked person. Yes, I did wicked. I'm a wicked person. That means this act was done through me. That means this body, right? I'm in this body and this body did it. So that means that activity was sinful activity, but still I didn't commit it because I'm a spirit soul. My atonement is only, so now, but the fact is it did happen. Your children were killed by me. So then how will I be relieved from this? only when I get your mercy. But my atonement is only by your mercy. Thus Kamsa says to Vasudeva and Devaki, please forgive me. So Shala means in Hindi you say Sala, right? Same thing, brother-in-law. Shalaha, brother-in-law. The word indicates Kamsa. So Swasro, sister, is a dual form of the word which indicates the sister and her husband. So if you want to say my sister and my sister's husband together, so in one word you want to address both, you will say Swasro. Swasro means sister and sister's husband. So Devaki and Vasudeva. Kamsa touched both of their feet. Okay, so now the next verse. मोचयाम आस निगडाद विश्रब्धा कन्यकागिरा देवकीं वसुदेवं च दर्शयन् आत्मसौहृदम्. मोचयाम आस nigadad. So Kamsa released them from their iron shackles. Vishrabdha Kanyaka Gira. Vishrabdha means with full confidence. In the words of Kanyaka Gira means Durga Devi. So why he did that? Why he released them? Because he believed what Durga Devi said, that the person who's going to kill you has taken birth already. Don't unnecessarily torture your sister, your innocent sister, brother-in-law. So having full confidence in the words of Kanyakagira, Durga Devi, now he released Vasudeva and Devaki, removed the iron shackles. Devakim Vasudevam cha darshayan atma sauhridam. So he exhibited darshayan means he's showing them his sauhridam, atma sauhridam. That means his relationship, right? Atma sauhridam, that brotherly affection. Now he's showing to Vasudeva and Devaki. Why all this is happening? Because he was convinced by the words of Durga Devi. Mochayamasa nigadad vishrabdaha kanyaka gira devakim vasudevam cha darshayan atma sauhridam. Fully believing in the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa exhibited his familial affection for Devaki and Vasudev by immediately releasing them from their iron shackles. Bhratuhu samanutaptasya kshanta rosha cha Devaki vyasrijad vasudevascha prahasya tam uvachaha. Bhratuhu, now Devaki from towards her brother. Bhratu means brother, towards her brother. Anutaptasya. Some anutaptasya, because of his being anutapta. Tapta means like burning, right? Hot. Tapta. So what was that burning? He is regretting. Anutaptasya. Samanutaptasya. Because of his being so regretful. Kshanta. Kshanta means what? Kshanta rosha. Kshanti means actually tolerating. Rosha is anger. That means the anger was subsided. Whose anger? Devaki's anger towards Kamsa for killing her children. But when she saw Kamsa's genuine repentance, her anger subsided. Shanta Roshacha Devaki. Vyasrijad Vasudevascha. Similarly, Vyasrijad means, like Visarjan, like giving up. He gave up. Who? Vasudeva also gave up his anger. Devaki's anger subsided. Vasudeva also gave up his anger. Why? Seeing Kamsa's repentance. Prahasyatam uvacha. So, prahasya means smiling, right? They began to speak to Kamsa. Bhratuhu samanutaptasya kshanta roshacha devaki vyasrijad vasudevascha prahasyatam uvachaha. When Devaki saw her brother actually repentant while explaining ordained events, she was relieved of all anger. Similarly, Vasudeva was also free from anger. Smiling, he spoke to Kamsa as follows. So when they saw that he was repenting, their anger went away. And then they began to speak to him smilingly. Purport. Devaki and Vasudev, both highly elevated personalities, accepted the truth presented by Kamsa that everything is ordained by providence. This is another thing, very, very important point here, that when you speak philosophy to a foolish person, what happens? He becomes angry. Who said this? Prabodhananda Saraswati. If you speak philosophy to a foolish person, he becomes angry. So that's why, how should you present philosophy to a foolish person? You should take a straw between your teeth and fall on their feet. And then you should glorify them, flatter them. You are Indra, you are Chandra, you are so great. Then when they hear all that flattery, now they'll become receptive to what you have to say. And when they are receptive, when they pay their attention, now you speak philosophy to them. Now, because they have already given you their attention, when you speak philosophy, now they will have to accept it. But otherwise, to a foolish person, if you speak philosophy, he only becomes angry like a serpent. On the contrary, we have an example of Srila Prabhupada. I think this is in Amsterdam. There was a fire sacrifice. Initiation ceremony was going to start. So Srila Prabhupada went there. I think it was the first time. And the devotees were really new people, like just they didn't have any idea. And they didn't make any proper arrangements for the fire yagya. No fruits. The fire, the yagya kunda is decorated with fruits and so many things. It was not proper. And Srila Prabhupada was getting angry, transcendentally angry, that why this is not that. And then he's like, I don't know what to do with you people. So someone from the audience, just some new, maybe some, we don't know who, right? Not like a devotee or someone who came like a visitor. When Prabhupada says, he was like completely irritated with the arrangements and everything. And he said, I don't know what to do with you people. And that man says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So Srila Prabhupada just looked at that person. He removed his bead bag, took the beads in his hands, and just sat down chanting Hare Krishna. So you can understand the greatness of a person. How do you know? The greatness of a person is tested, is estimated. The greatness of a person is estimated by his ability to tolerate the most provoking situations. The greatness, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes this statement. The greatness of a person is estimated by his ability to tolerate the most provoking situation. So, yes, 1 second, Prabhuji. So here, this is inconceivable, unimaginable for anyone in this world. Such loving parents, their firstborn, baby child, and one after another, newborn babies were brutally murdered in front of their eyes. And then, after doing this, the perpetrator speaks Bhagavad Gita philosophy to you, telling you that actually you are not this body. The babies that I killed, they were not the bodies, they were all spirit souls. So you should not feel sorry about all this. And after hearing all this, they accept, yes, what you're saying is true. This shows how great they are. Yes, Prabhuji, Narsimha Lila Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Spurti.
So, Mataji, I have two questions. Kamsa said that it was just the past deeds, Mataji. And if we go to a different story about how the 8 Vasus got killed by, got first by a Muni. Is it a recap from is it from that past deed, Mataji?
That is true, of course, it is. The first six children were actually the six sons of Marichi. Huh. So they had laughed at Brahmaji when Brahmaji, after, he became attracted to his own daughter, Saraswati, and he started chasing after her. So they laughed at him and they criticized him. So because of that offense, they had to take birth as demons. So then, so that continued further again. So now once again they would have to take birth and they would be killed by their own father, like that. Father means in the past life it was their father. Now, so they appeared as the sons of Hiranyakashipu. After that they appeared as the sons of Hiranyakashipu, and um, they were killed by Kalanemi. I think that's the, yeah, I cannot write Kalnemi. So now again, one more life. They will have to take birth, and once again they will be killed by their uncle. So that is there. But here, I don't think Kamsa was specifically talking about these particular boys and what activity they did because of which they are getting. But it is understood for everyone, for you, for me, for everyone, why we are in this body and why we get certain pains or sufferings or happiness. It is the result of our past karma. As per philosophy, he is saying that anyone who is getting killed, because we only see the present, we think, oh, this person is so nice, why bad things happen to good people, what did sometimes small children, they get some disease and they die, and the parents will say, or other people will say, what sin can this small baby do, why this baby is getting this punishment, like that they question. You are not seeing in this life that living entity may not have done, but you don't see what karma was done in the past life. So, like that. So, the philosophy is anyone who is suffering or enjoying in this world, especially sufferings, other than for devotees, of course, that's a different story. But it's the result of your past karma. Like that. Okay? What was the second question?
It got answered, Mataji.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna.
So, coming back here, when Devaki saw her brother actually repenting, so she was relieved of her anger, and then in the purport we were reading, right? They were both highly elevated persons. That's what I was saying. Devaki and Vasudeva were so highly elevated that Kamsa is speaking philosophy to them and they accepted it. They accepted the truth presented by Kamsa that everything is ordained by providence. Yeah, this is my own destiny. What can be done? According to the prophecy, Kamsa would be killed by the eighth child of Devaki. Therefore, Vasudeva and Devaki saw that behind all these incidents was a great plan devised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Lord had already taken birth just like a human child and was in the safe custody of Yashoda, everything was happening according to plan, and there was no need to continue their ill feeling toward Kamsa. Thus, they accepted Kamsa's words. Of course, they are exalted. If they were not exalted, how Krishna appeared to them? That itself explains. But from our perspective, I was explaining, right? How they were able to just forgive. But from their perspective, they were already far beyond that. They saw, otherwise, why they would even go for babies one after another? It is all the Lord's plan. The Lord is supposed to come as the eighth child, and to make way for the Lord to come, they were having babies one after another, knowing that Kamsa will come and kill. So they were aware that this is all the Lord's plan, and they accepted that pain, right? Kamsa coming and killing their babies, knowing that this is the Lord's plan. So when Kamsa said that philosophy, they were, yeah, this is our destiny and this is meant to happen, right? Akashvani said, At least they didn't tell him, because Kamsa doesn't know yet that, the eighth child was born of Devaki and taken somewhere else. Kamsa didn't know that. But in their hearts, Devaki felt that, yeah, the eighth child, Akashwani said that the eighth child is going to kill Kamsa, and that eighth child is the Supreme Lord. He's there with Yashoda now. So all this is happening according to his plan. Our losing our babies is also the plan of the Lord. Why we should blame Kamsa, right? So we are just instruments. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachi. Like that. So they just accepted it, and they gave up all, they genuinely gave up all ill feelings. We see this even, anyone who takes the spiritual path, primarily there are two paths. There is Jnana path and there is Bhakti path. Both Krishna speaks of both in Bhagavad Gita. First 6 chapters is talking about the Jnana. Again, the last 6 chapters also is talking about Jnana. First 6 is the initial stage of Jnana called Nishkama Karma Yoga. The next part of Nishkama Karma Yoga is Jnana. So, first 6 and last 6 chapters are talking about Jnana Yoga. So, one who perfects the path of Jnana, when he comes to the stage of Sthita Pragya or Jivan Mukta, what are his qualities? He is not affected by Dukheshu anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigataspriha vitaraga bhayakroda sthitadir muni ruchyate. Right? He is not affected by happiness, by distress, and by attachment, by fear, by anger. He is not affected by these things. You take away everything from him, no attachment. Right? This is the case of even a Jnani. A Jnani realizes the absolute truth only as Brahman. So that's not the highest, but even he has these qualities. What to speak of pure devotees? We saw already Vyasadeva, Devaki, they had prema for Krishna. We were reading, remember? So, one who has love for the Supreme Lord, how they can have any enmity or any grudge against anyone, whatever they do. They see everything as happening by the Lord's arrangement. So, they don't have any anger, any grudge, any enmity towards anyone. Devotees cannot have that. So, they gave up. At the moment, yes, right, when you're doing it, why unnecessarily innocent babies you're killing? So that's why initially it is said that her anger subsided means what? That means she did have anger before. But now when Kamsa repented, her anger just went away immediately. Vasudeva also gave up his anger. Then that anger went away. Like that. But they are great persons because they saw great personalities, because they saw all this as the Lord's plan. So we can stop Bhagavatam reading here. We'll continue tomorrow. I will just read Leelamrita today, because if I read Bhagavad Gita, that will take a little longer for today. Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. What did we read the other day? How Srila Prabhupada would wake up right early in the morning and he would be working on his translations of Srimad Bhagavatam. And yeah, he was very, when there was a Bhagavatam class, he was very serious, no nonsense. They could ask questions after he spoke what he wanted to say, in between, no. And then Kirtan, he was liberal in Kirtan in the sense that they could play any instruments they brought, they could play with him. And, all types of instruments. And sometimes, they would go off beat, like kartals they would take, and instead of doing 1, 2, 3, they would just start playing in whichever way they would like. Then Srila Prabhupada would tell them to play with like this, like that. But in general, he's like an expert. What we saw the other day was, maestro means what? Like a master, right? Like an expert. He was an expert in Kirtan. That we saw. And then how he was, his schedule, he would, from 2 in the morning, early morning hours, he was doing his translation of Bhagavatam. And also, when anyone would come to meet him, he was there for them. He could spend any amount of time answering their questions, and he would just sit, and one after another, if the next person came, he would just sit there and answer all their questions. Okay, yes, Spurti, you wanted to say something else? Your hand is raised, maybe from before. Okay, we'll continue. Generally, visits were formal. His guests would ask philosophical questions and he would answer, with much the same as after a lecture in the storefront. But occasionally, some of the boys who were becoming serious followers would monopolize his time, especially on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday nights when there was no evening lecture in the temple. Often they would ask him personal questions. So, normally, after class, whatever formal, like if you read about Bhagavad Gita, they'll ask some philosophical questions and Prabhupada would answer. But on the days when they didn't have these public gatherings, when Srila Prabhupada was in his room, some boys were coming there every day, and they started chanting like his disciples. So they were not initiated yet, but who were serious. So they would also ask him some personal questions about him. What was it like when he first came to New York? What about India? Did he have followers there? Were his family members devotees of Krishna? What was his spiritual master like? And then Prabhupada would talk in a different way, quieter, more intimate, and humorous. So it depends, right, on what type of questions you ask and also what type of relationship you have, also, right? Srila Prabhupada probably would not entertain such questions in a lecture, right, when there is a public gathering. But these were relatively, compared to the others, they were more serious. They were accepting. And they asked him some personal questions, and his mood would be different, more lighter mood, right, in an intimate way. He would tell them. He told how one morning in New York he had first seen snow and thought someone had whitewashed the buildings. If you have never seen snow, and one day when you open the window in the morning, you see everything covered by snow, I'm telling you, it is an experience. It's like, what happened all of a sudden, you know? So he told how one morning in New York, he had first seen snow and thought someone had whitewashed the building. He told how he had spoken at several churches in Butler, and when the boys asked what kind of churches they were, he smiled and replied, I don't know. Because in churches also you have many different sects, groups. So, which church did you talk in? Like a Catholic church or Protestant church or this church or that church? Prabhupada said, I don't know which church. And they laughed with him. He would reminisce freely about the British control of India and about Indian politics. So he would also talk about this with them, right? How the British controlled India and the current Indian politics. He told them it was not so much Gandhi as Subhash Chandra Bose who had liberated India. Subhash Chandra Bose had gone outside of India and started the Indian National Army. He entered into an agreement with Hitler that Indian soldiers fighting for British India who surrendered to the Germans could be returned to the Indian National Army to fight against the British. And it was this show of force by Bose more than Gandhi's non-violence which led to India's independence. So something which we, even Indians, are not taught in our schools, right? We are always taught that we got independence by the non-cooperation movement of Gandhi. What is Srila Prabhupada saying here? The Indian independence was not so much because of Gandhi's non-violence, rather it was by showing force by Subhash Chandra Bose. What did Subhash Chandra Bose do? So, Hitler at the time, he was, he was the leader of the Germans, and Subhash Chandra Bose and the British were, Indian soldiers were fighting on behalf of the British. So British would conquer other countries, and it was the Indian soldiers who were fighting in the British army. The British took Indian soldiers and would go and fight with other countries, to get victory for British. So what was Subhash Chandra Bose's plan? He went outside of India, started his own army, small army called Indian National Army. So who were the people in this army? He entered into an agreement with Hitler that those soldiers, Indian soldiers who fought for British and then who had surrendered to Germans. You understand? That means those who are fighting for British, now if they surrendered to Germans, the Germans will return them back to the Indian National Army to fight against the British. That means British and Germany fought. And the soldiers, Indian soldiers in the British army were taken captive by the Germans. Subhash Chandra Bose is saying, you release my Indian soldiers on the agreement that they will now fight against British. So you'll get your revenge. The people that you have conquered who were fighting on behalf of British, if you give me, they will fight with British now. So he got into an agreement with Hitler like this and he released those Indian soldiers, and with those soldiers he made his own army. And Srila Prabhupada is saying it is because of this force by Subhash Chandra Bose that finally the British left India. India got its independence. It was not so much because of the non-violence of Gandhi. We can stop there today. 1 second. Bookmark. So thank you all so much. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.